Late in the afternoon, Alice walked along the quiet canal path, a route she knew by heart. The last camera caught her passing under a bridge, calm, steady, unaware that someone else was just minutes behind her. After that moment, she simply disappeared. No sound, no witness, just a sudden break in the timeline that no one could explain. What happened on that silent stretch of towpath would trigger one of London's largest searches and uncover a truth darker than anyone imagined. Alice Gross was born on February 14, 2000, in London, England. She came into a loving family. Her parents were Jose Gross and Rosalind Hodgkiss. They chose not to use a traditional married surname, keeping their own names. Jose worked hard to provide for his family. Rosalind was a devoted mother. The couple created a warm, creative home environment. They valued education, the arts, and individual expression. Alice had an older sister named Nina. The two girls would grow up close, sharing secrets and supporting each other through life's challenges. The family lived in Hanwell, a district in West London within the borough of Ealing. It was a diverse, friendly neighborhood with good schools and parks. Families knew each other. Children played together in the streets. It felt like a safe place to raise kids. From her earliest years, Alice was described as a sweet child. She had a gentle nature that drew people to her. Even as a baby, she seemed to observe the world with curiosity. Her parents noticed her sensitivity early on. She would cry when other children were upset. She showed empathy beyond her years. Alice attended local schools in the Hanwell area. She was a bright student who enjoyed learning. Teachers remember her as thoughtful and creative. She participated in class discussions and always tried her best with her schoolwork. Reading was one of her favorite activities. She would spend hours lost in books, exploring different worlds through stories. As a child, Alice had a unique personality. She wasn't the loudest kid in the room, but she wasn't shy either. She had a quiet confidence about her. She preferred meaningful conversations over small talk. Her friends appreciated how genuine she was. Alice never pretended to be someone she wasn't. What you saw was what you got, and what people saw was a kind, artistic soul. Music became Alice's passion at a young age. She showed natural talent that her parents encouraged. They enrolled her in piano lessons, and Alice took to the instrument immediately. The piano became her way of expressing emotions she couldn't put into words. She would practice for hours, getting lost in the melodies. Her parents would listen from another room, amazed by their daughter's gift. Alice also learned to play the violin. Managing two instruments showed her dedication and discipline. She would perform at school concerts, her nerves transforming into confidence once she began playing. The audience could feel the emotion in her music. Teachers told her parents that Alice had something special. She didn't just play the notes. She understood the music. Alice loved nature and animals. The family had 3 cats named Lottie, Louis, and Patty. They also had a dog called Peggy. Alice would spend time with them, finding peace in their company. She would draw pictures of animals and landscapes. Art was another outlet for her creativity. Her bedroom walls were covered with her artwork and posters of musicians she admired. When Alice entered her teenage years, she started attending Brentside High School in Hanwell. It was a local comprehensive school within walking distance of her home. This school would be where Alice spent her final years. She was in year 9 when she disappeared, just 2 years away from taking her important GCSE exams. As a teenager, Alice's personality deepened. She became more thoughtful and introspective. She questioned the world around her. She developed strong opinions about social issues. She believed in fairness and equality. Her family described her as having a strong moral compass. Alice stood up for what she believed was right, even when it wasn't popular. At school, Alice continued to do well academically. She wasn't obsessed with getting perfect grades, but she worked hard. She particularly enjoyed subjects that allowed for creative expression. English literature was a favorite. She loved analyzing poetry and discussing the meaning behind stories. Her teachers appreciated her thoughtful contributions to class discussions. Like many teenagers, Alice used her phone to stay connected with friends. She had an iPhone that she had personalized. The back case was cracked, and Alice had colored it in with felt-tip pens. This small detail showed her creative spirit. Even a broken phone became a canvas for her art. But Alice's teenage years weren't without challenges. At age 14, she was diagnosed with anorexia. This eating disorder affects millions of people, causing them to restrict food and become dangerously thin. Alice's family noticed changes in her eating habits and her relationship with her body. They immediately sought help for her. Alice was receiving treatment and working through this difficult time. She also dealt with depression. Mental health struggles can affect anyone, regardless of age or circumstances. Alice was brave enough to acknowledge she needed help. She was vulnerable about her struggles. Her family supported her through every step. They wanted her to know she wasn't alone. They were determined to help her get better. In the months before her disappearance, Alice was focused on her health. She was working with medical professionals to overcome her anorexia. Recovery from an eating disorder is hard work. It requires facing fears and changing thought patterns. Alice was trying. Some days were better than others. Her family stayed hopeful that she would fully recover. School was going well for Alice. She had plans for the upcoming academic year. She was looking forward to continuing her music studies. She had performances coming up where she would play her violin and piano. Her teachers had high expectations for her. They saw her potential. Alice's daily routine in the summer of 2014 often included walks. She loved being outdoors. The Grand Union Canal towpath near her home was one of her favorite places. She would walk there to clear her mind. She would walk there with friends. She would walk there alone when she needed to think. The path felt like her special place. It was peaceful. It was beautiful. And she felt safe there. Alice's story intersects with that of a man named Arnis Zalkalns. He was 41 years old in 2014. He was originally from Latvia, a small country in northern Europe that's part of the European Union. Zalkalns had dark brown hair that he usually wore tied back in a ponytail. He was about 5 feet 10 inches tall with a stocky build. He worked as a builder and general laborer at construction sites around West London. But Arnis Zalkalns was hiding a dark and violent past. In 1997, when he was in his mid-20s, Zalkalns committed a horrific crime in Latvia. He murdered his wife, Rudit Zalkalns. The details were disturbing. He had stabbed her through the heart.